Hi, Gary Madsen, owner of UTV Service here. Today's video, I'm going to talk about the Fox 2.0 shocks. They come on a lot of vehicles. The Polaris RZR 1000S has them. The Polaris 900S has them. There's a version of them on the 900 trail models. Also, all your Polaris Generals that were Fox shocks came with them. Some of the older Can-Ams have the 2.0s. A lot of your Cat Wildcats came with the 2.0s, and some of your Kawasaki Teryxes all came with the 2.0s. So this is our next, we'll talk about these to come. Now we're going to talk about the maintenance on the 2.0 shocks, because that's what this is all about. This shock, if you were to buy new, runs about $600 for the shock, and you can rebuild this for just under $200. So there's that, and it will be just like brand new as long as you haven't destroyed the shock. But there's several things that I see not getting done that you could make these shocks last a long time. When you're cleaning your machine, you should clean off all the threads. You should clean all the dirt and everything off of your shafts and keep everything clean, because that's what's going to keep you'll be able to adjust the shock for your ride heights that you need. You want this clean so you're not just stuffing dirt in it. And clean up the knob area and adjust this thing. This is your adjustment for different ride conditions that day. So that's the cleaning. Now here's the other thing is, Fox recommends every 1,500 miles to rebuild this shock if you want trouble-free driving. And when they say meaning trouble-free driving, people think, oh my gosh, 1,500 miles is a lot, you know, that's too soon. Well, they all tend to leak about 2,000 miles. And at 2,000 miles, if it starts leaking, you're going to start knocking, you could do damage, and it might end your trip sooner than you wanted. So that's what they mean by you want to be your maintenance free. The other scenario is that you should check your nitrogen charge once a year, minimum. And in order to check the nitrogen charge on these original caps on these things, they're almost impossible. You're going to buy about a $70 tool and you'll be lucky if you don't break it. They make caps for this that you can change, and we change them for our rebuilds. You either put an aftermarket high volume with a nice little Schrader valve on it, a little more expensive, or you can drill into the original ones, put your Schrader caps on it, put them back in. So now you can check them. All Foxes are recommended with 200 pounds nitrogen in it. Now we're going to talk about the loss of nitrogen. And the reason it's so important to check the nitrogen. If you lose the nitrogen, you lose your 200 pounds working with the seals. And when it's a cup seal, it's meant, you know, to keep that cup seal nice and open and holding is what the 200 pounds nitrogen is doing, let alone cavitation. So you lose the nitrogen, your cup seals all of a sudden shrink, and now all of a sudden you've got a loss of fluid. So when you get a loss of fluid and it starts knocking, we'll talk about the damage on the shock when they get to a point where they're knocking. If you hear knocking and you suspect the shocks, it's time to quit riding. And the housing's what takes the hit. The seal head will get some wear on it, but we can usually get away with redoing the seal head with new seals. But when the damage becomes the housing, and you end up with a big lip and it's not going to seal anymore, that is an extra cost. But I think the biggest thing is, this is a minimum 2-week get from Fox, and that's if they have it in stock to get it back. So you're going to lose approximately 3 weeks of riding time in the good times. This last pandemic year, I had one that we couldn't get for 2.5 months. Well, that guy lost most of his riding time in the summer. So this is why you don't, when it starts knocking, when you can tell it's been leaking hard, don't keep driving these things. I've had guys tell me their buddy said, oh, don't worry about it, they all do that. They don't all do that. It's kind of like your tooth. When your tooth starts hurting, you got a problem. When your shocks start knocking, it's time to service them. All right, Now let's talk about the comparison to what everybody really knows and thinks about. You think about these shocks like you would your car, because everybody has shocks on their cars and trucks that they drive every day. But that's where it ends. Here's some different reasons. We have travel length that is 2, 3, 4 times, maybe 5 times more than a car or a truck would ever be. They're going up and down a major amount of movement. So that's completely different. Our environment that we're in in one ride in this Razor in a day, I'll have more dirt, dust, grime going inside this shock than I will easily in 6 months, probably a year in my car. So you've got dirt environment, you've got a shock that is traveling tons more, 3, 4 times more, and the amount of movement. You're driving on nice paved roads out on your truck and car every day, and mad if you do hit a pothole, call the city up, tell them you need to fix that, where you hop in these Razors and these Can-Ams and everything, and your whole idea is you're hitting that every second you're driving it. It's traveling through the motion. So that's why the 1,500 miles is when you're going to service them, and you might be looking for new shocks on your car at 50,000 miles. So those two are going to be real comparable. Hey, thanks for watching the video, and down in the description I'm going to have my blog post on there, so if you want more information in writing, I've got a blog post about the same description of what's going on here. And for more videos and information, give me a subscribe. Oh, and by the way, give me a like button if this has helped you in any way, and that way I know that my videos are doing some help to you. Thanks again for watching. Till we ride again.